Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today I am covering a car that is not my Porsche 911. This car is my BMW 533i, which has been my daily driving classic car. Yes, I daily drive a classic car to the gymnasium because I feel it is an important part of my daily routine as a car enthusiast in order to enjoy the classic luxury of what BMW Teutonic build quality is from the 1980s. This has been one of my favorite cars ever since I got it. I literally found it on the side of the road, not too far away from my house, and it has proven to be one of the best driving experiences that I've encountered, which gives me a bit of a different experience than, say, that of my Mercedes C300, which I drive to work. And this, which I have parked on the street right now, is the car that I use in order to get around and be a little bit more stylish, a little bit more focused towards the engagement aspect of driving the car. So yeah, I just want to go over some of the things that I did to this car in my ownership, because I covered what OEM Plus looks like in my Porsche 911. OEM Plus looks a little bit different with this BMW. Now, to the casual observer, they will not realize that this car has a differing appearance than what came from the factory, especially the US car. This car appears more like what you saw in Octopussy from the 007 James Bond series. So what I did was I watched that movie, I observed it, I looked at some of the intricate details of what this car has, and I think the protruding dual exhaust coming from the off-center section of the back of the vehicle will be a pure indication that this car is a little bit different and it sits different than the rest. And that is because they are exposed, you have a different set of bumpers. So I sourced these bumpers from Australia. These are the European bumpers that were offered for the rest of the world, but they were not offered here in the United States. I feel like this was a styling cue that was the original intention of the designers of the vehicle, and definitely sets the car apart from everything else that was being offered in the States. And I did the same thing for the front end. What happened with the front end, as you see my YouTube badass license plate, you could see that the entire lower valance got a revision. And I think this is very important to note, because there's certain things to this car that I haven't done yet. Like, I haven't sourced a rust-free set of headlights, because the outer portion, the outer headlight right over here, is a bigger diameter than the inner headlight. This headlight is about, this high beam light is practically the same size, but this outer light has a much bigger diameter, so it gives a different appearance to the front of this vehicle. But the lower fog light and turn signal, which has been modified to a dual filament setting, gives it a much better looking appearance. And because this is an American car, this is a US issued car, there is not a side profile marker over here, which I'm perfectly fine with because it gives it a much cleaner design. I was planning on lowering the car and giving it a nicer stance if I were to have modified the wheels, but I think that this car appears better with these 14-inch wheels, because the big sidewalls, which offer a little bit added comfort when I'm speeding over speed bumps and driving over potholes, which is the reality of New York City traffic, I think gives it a much better feel as I'm navigating through the streets of Queens in New York, or if I'm in Manhattan especially that entrance on the 59th Street Bridge. All the New Yorkers will know that that is something that is not necessarily the most comfortable thing in the world. So now that I've explained some of the modifications I've done to the exterior, let's take a look at the interior. The previous owner of this vehicle enjoyed guns, so here is a .38 Special bullet that she enjoyed, and because it's an honor, she was a one-owner vehicle, this car, I kept it because, you know what, she kept the car rust-free and in a garage for the entirety of its life, so I honor her. Her name is Margaret. I honor her for having kept this vehicle intact, accident-free for its entire life. I'm the only person who took it apart by putting European bumpers on the car, but I think I made the right decision because the car looks way better than it did before. So one thing that stands out with this interior is the quality of the leather. This is 100% original leather. You could see the inside of the bolstering is perfectly in shape. There are no cracks. The leather is completely soft to the touch. You see, like, it's the best snap of leather you could ever touch. It is absolutely incredible. When you sit down on the seat, it is the most comfortable seat in the world. It feels like grandma's couch on a Sunday afternoon after church. That's what it really feels like. And the one thing that I did change, because these parts have aged over time with the ABS plastic, these surrounds around the lever that opens the door, I had to find these from BMW, and I was able to find 3. One was still in good shape, the one that's on the passenger side front. That one was still okay. This one needed to be replaced because this was a high traffic area for the driver. I feel like Margaret, the original owner, was the only person driving this car. And when you sit in the back seat, it looks like it's never been sat in. It is such a beautifully preserved vehicle. And this was replaced. This little area, sun damage, or I guess an impact zone over here, it was affected. But yeah, people used to smoke a lot back in the day. But everything is in really good shape. The staining that you have on the headliner over here, that is original to the car, because those glues that they use in order to pretty much put the headliner in place used to change color over time. So if you see that marking on the C pillar is not there, I had to count. I had to go A, B, C. If you see that the C pillar does not have that marking, the headliner is not original. So this car, what makes it charming is the level of originality. Everything is original, including the speakers. So not changing much, not doing much to the interior has been pretty much my call to action with this vehicle. I did cocoa mats, but I didn't do the Jaspy cocoa mats, the ones that I have on my Mercedes and my Porsche, the one I showed you in the previous video. I did the Cecil black mats because I wanted it to be very subtle. I didn't want it to be as loud as my Porsche. This is a much more distinguished and elegant vehicle. So I wanted to do something that was more under the radar, because this vehicle in general is pretty much under the radar. Now if I sit, everything is gauges. With the modern BMWs, you have a lot of screens, you have things that are over the top. And with this, we could look at one of the modifications, which I am debating changing, but I do like having Bluetooth, is the presence of the radio. So let me turn on. Starts right away. And that is the radio. You see it illuminates blue. Part of me wants to change it to something like a cassette deck that originally came with the car, or even in later generations. That's the only thing that I'm truly debating. And we have the test lights up above, which is awesome. You have amazing visibility all throughout. Yeah, this is what makes this car special, is the incredible visibility throughout the entire perimeter of this vehicle. You could look in any which way direction. No need for a camera around here. And it feels like you're sitting high up in an SUV, except you're in a car. The interior room is insane. There's space in the back for passengers. There's insane space for the passenger seats in the front. And I have very good leg room. I don't know if you could see that, but you do have incredible amounts of leg room as a driver in this car. And there's no cracks on the dashboard. So seeing what the Porsche 911 is doing in the marketplace, I figured, let me turn off the car. seeing what the car is doing in the marketplace, I figured the best thing that I can do for myself is keep this car and drive it as often as possible. And that sound is unmistakable BMW or German build quality. So let's take a look at the engine, because that is the best part about this car. So this BMW has one of the great engines that BMW ever engineered. And when I mean ever in the history. Yes, ever. It's the beautiful inline-six engine that has been seen with the basic architecture that you have from the BMW M1 all the way up to the first M offering with BMW, with the M5 from the E28 generation. It is a beautiful engine that just sings and purrs when you're on the highway, and you could see that big, tilted to the side inline six, and you just see the architecture of this engine is just beautiful. It's a beautifully built engine. It is perfectly clean because I detailed this car, just getting rid of the leaves and remnants and all this other stuff since it's open. But I did put in brand new hood pads. I think that's an important detail that everyone should do. You don't want random stuff falling onto your engine. You don't want, you want to keep your engine bay clean. It's got the original stickers, everything. Yeah, this car just speaks quality. And I think BMW from this era is unmistakable, just solid build quality. So this is my car that you'll see me just driving around New York City in during my free time. I go to work in one and I drive the other. And that's it for today. Thank you for watching. I look forward to making the next video. See you on the next one. Take care, guys.